Japanese Tales, Elimination. Taro no Sadofun, commonly known as Harachu, was the deputy commander of the palace guards. He was a man of respectable rank, handsome and elegant, and in everything he did or said the most amusing follow of his time. Naturally, he courted every wife, every daughter, and above all, every lady in waiting within reach. A certain minister had in his household as lovely and as witty a young lady as ever there was, and her name was Jiju. Haichu knew about her since he often visited the minister, and in fact had been pursuing her for ages, because she had not deigned to answer a single one of his letters. Much put out, Haichu finally tried a note that begged her at least to answer the one word, acknowledged, and he ended it, yours in ceaseless tears. When he saw the messenger return, actually carrying a reply, he ran out and opened it feverishly. The lady had torn the acknowledged out of his own letter, stuck it on another piece of paper, and sent it right back to him. Haichu went wild. All right, that's enough, he swore to himself. I give up. That was on the last day of the second moon. Haichu sent Juju nothing between then and well into the fifth moon, when, on a dark and dismally rainy night, he found himself brooding over her again. If I went tonight, it'd surely do something to her, he ruminated, even if she's got a heart of stone. The hour was late, the rain was beating down interminably, and the bleakness of the night was final. The helpless Haichu found his way to the minister's residence, and called for a little maid who had passed messages for him before. Here I am. I can't stand it any more. That was what he sent the maid off to tell Jiju. The maid was soon back with a word that Jiju was presently attending His Excellency and her ladyship, and couldn't retire just yet because the household was still up. Wait a bit, Jiju's message concluded. I'll talk to you in private later on. Haichu's heart beat fast. Well, well, thought he, she really couldn't turn her fellow away in a night like this. I'm so glad I came. He waited by the darkened door for what seemed like years. An hour or more later, he heard the sounds of people going to bed. Then someone came to his door and quietly opened the latch. With bated breath, he tested it. It slid easily aside. He wondered whether he was dreaming. In fact, he was shaking with joy. But he managed to calm down enough to steal inside. A sweet fragrance of incense filled the room. Haichu groped his way toward where he knew the bed must be, and found someone was lying there. Yes, it was a woman, and she had only one robe on. He felt over her head and shoulders. Her features were fine, and the hair streaming out along the floor was as smooth and cool to touch as ice. All but delirious now, Haichu was temporarily deprived of speech by a fit of trembling. "Oh dear," exclaimed the woman, "I've forgotten something very important. I didn't lock the door into this part of the house. I'll be right back." That sounded all right to Haichu. "Don't be long," he called after her. She got up and went just as she was, while Haichu undressed and lay down. A lock clicked. Any moment she would be back. But no, the footsteps faded out deeper into the house. Time passed, and with grave misgiving Haichu went to check the door. Oh, it was locked all right, from the other side. He danced up and down and wept with rage, then just stood there in a daze against the door, pouring as many tears as the rainy skies outside. "What a trap she led me into," he groaned. "Oh, this is awful. If only I'd realized. I could have stayed with her when she went to lock the door. I suppose she wants to see how far she could push me. She must think me a perfect idiot." This thought, even more than the missed opportunity, brought Haichu to the last pitch of despair. "Well, let the day dawn," his mind went on. "I don't care. I'm going to sleep right here, and if they come in and find me, so much the better." But as dawn actually approached, and he heard the household waking up, he decided that discretion was the better part of valor, and sneaked quickly off while it was still dark. Forever after, Haichu longed to hear some rumor about Jiju that would really put him off her, but since he never did, he went on burning for her instead. Then one day he had an idea. For all Jiju's beauty and wit, the matter she deposited in her chamber pot was bound to be the same as what he left in his own. If by hook or crook he could get hold of some of that, That ought to cure him. I'll ambush her maid when she goes to wash the pot. I'll steal it and have a good look inside, he promised himself. Haichu went straight off to lurk, as innocently as possible, outside Jiju's room. Out came a smart young maid, with her hair down almost to the hem of her pink and green jacket, which she wore over a purple trouser skirt, casually tucked up. She was carrying a pot, well, a box actually, as was the custom then, wrapped in filmy light orange silk, discreetly screening it from view with a red paper fan that had some scene or other painted on it. She made a very stylish picture. Haichu shouted her till she was out of sight of the house, then charged up and snatched the box. She burst into tears and refused to let go, but Haichu tore it ruthlessly from her grasp, fled into a deserted building, and locked the door from the inside. The maid was left crying outside. Haichu examined the box. It was very beautifully lacquered, so pretty in fact that he hated to go further. The contents were one thing, but for a chamber pot, this was a unique work of art. To think he was going to open it and destroy forever his fond visions of its owner. He could not bear the idea, and for a while just stared at the box instead. Still, this was no time to turn back. Tremulously he removed the lid. A rich fragrance of incense perfumed the air. What on earth? Golden water half filled the box, and in it swam three brownish, cylindrical objects about the thickness of the thumb. Well, thought Haichu, there they are. But this heavenly scent was not exactly what he expected from them. He spared when, with a slip of wood, and held it gingerly to his nose. Musk, clove, sandalwood, these perfumes and more mingled in an exquisite blend which floated into his nostrils like giddying caresses. He was very out of his depth. This woman was not the same order as a common mortal. With awful certainty he saw that the very idea of bringing her round was absurd. He drew the box to his lips and sipped the golden water. It was redolent of cloves. He licked the tip of the round brown object he had speared, both bitter and sweet. It was endlessly fragrant. Haichu was clever too, and he could see perfectly what Jiju had done. For the urine, she had simply boiled cloves and drawn off the water. For the other matter, she had ground together yams, incense spices, and sweet vine, and molded the mixture in the cover of a large writing brush. Anyone could do that, of course, but for her to have divined that he would want to contemplate the contents of her chamber pot, that was beyond anything. A genius like Jiju was not of this world. With these thoughts whirling deliriously through his head, Haichu sickened, suffered a while, and then died.